Alright guys, welcome back, and up to this point what we did is we unpacked an IPv4 packet. So there we go, we got all this information. Now once we unpack it, what we need to do after this is we actually need to find out what kind of data is inside. Now the way that we do that is we actually look at the protocol right here. So we already got that, and it's going to return a number, and once we have that, as you can see in this little section, the protocol is going to tell us what type of data that packet is carrying. So some of the more common ones are ICMP, TCP, which is going to be the protocol like, I don't know, 95% of the time, and also UDP if you're, I don't know, maybe trying to get a DNS request or whatever. But anyways, there's a lot of obscure protocols, but we are only going to worry about ICMP, TCP, and UDP, since those are going to be like 99% of the actual protocols that we're going to be working with. So let's go ahead and make 3 different methods, because the way that you unpack those are different. So again, one last time, eventually what we're going to be doing is looking at the protocol, and we're just going to make a if statement, and we'll say if the protocol is 1, unpack this using the unpack ICMP method. If it's 6, unpack it using unpack TCP, so on and so forth. So let's first make a function to, we'll say ICMP packet. And if you guys don't know what ICMP packet is, it's basically, I don't even know what it stands for, Internet Control Message Protocol, I think. And it's really useful whenever you want to diagnose a problem with your network. And let me just go ahead and packets, and we'll pass the data right in there. All right. And I don't have a diagram of this, but whenever you unpack it, you get the type, code, checksum, and you also get the data, but let's just go ahead and do this. So struct unpack, and put an exclamation mark, and then BBH. So BBH. Now, what you want to do is you actually want to get the first 4. All right. So we're going to be passing data, and we're going to grab the first 4 bytes, and it's going to return this right here. So now we have those values, and what we want to do after that is just return all of those. So we're going to return all of this. And the last thing that we actually want to return is the rest of the data. So this is pretty much the header, the first 4 bytes, but now what we can do is we can return the actual payload. So data 4 to the end. So this is the beginning, and the actual data just goes wherever the header ended all the way to the end. And let's just go ahead and unpack the TCP segment now. So unpacks TCP segment. All right, so check this out. So like I said, 90% of your packets that come across the network are going to be TCP IP. Now we already unpacked the IP part right here, so we're going to be left with the TCP. So this is pretty much the packets you get whenever you're just going to some website, Facebook, Instagram, the New Boston, whatever. And what we get is the source port, the destination port, the sequence number, acknowledgement number, a bunch of flags, and a lot of this stuff is just for, I don't know, not really useful to us, just useful to the router to make sure that it's communicating correctly. But this is what we're going to unpack. So let's just go ahead and make a function called, let me scroll up a little bit. Find TCP segment. So whenever the protocol is 6, we're going to unpack this information. So what I can do is actually this. What do I got? Source port, destination port, sequence acknowledgement, and I'll do my flags. All right. Actually, let's shorten this up. Source port, dest port for the destination port, sequence. How do you spell acknowledgement? AC. Acknowledgement. Guarantee I messed it up. Nope. All right. Looking good. All right. Now, offset reserved flags. All right. So this last value that I'm going to unpack is actually this entire thing, offset, reserved, and TCP flags. Now take note that this entire thing is 16 bits, this entire little chunk right here. So let's say that we just want the offset. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bit shift this chunk to the right 12 bits. So the reserved and your flags are going to be pushed out, and you're going to only be left with this offset right here. So go ahead and do this. All right. So in order to get this, if you just call struct unpack, I don't even know if I can scroll over yet. All right. So it's H, H, L, L, H, and this is data 14. All right. So check this out. We're going to go ahead and grab the first 14 bytes, unpack it using this, and they're basically, I don't know, most of them are just integers, and we're going to unpack it into these variables right there. So most of these are just good right now, like the source, destination, sequence number, acknowledgement, but we have to do some weird things with this because this is all in one chunk, so we actually need to extract the offset and, you know, all that crap. So I'll talk to you guys about that right now. So the offset, what we're going to do right now is we're just going to get the offset from these 16 bytes. And remember, I said in order to do that, what we need to do is we take the offset reserve flags, and that's just what I named this entire chunk right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to bit shift it to the right 12. And then if you multiply it by 4, you're going to get the offset. So basically taking this chunk, bit shifting it to the right 12, which pushes these two out. And now after we do that, we need to get all the flags. Now if you guys don't know what flags are, go watch my Wireshark tutorials and look at the video specifically about the TCP three-way handshake, and you guys are going to see the flags like SYN, ACK, FIN. Basically, whenever you first start communicating with the server, you just can't start making requests like, hey, give me this picture, give me that picture. You need to establish a base connection. So that way, you know, you send these flags, and then whenever you end the connection, you pretty much send other flags to say goodbye. So pretty much the computer's way of saying hello and goodbye. So there you go. So there's a bunch of them. So flag, urge, and these are all pretty similar, so I can just copy and paste these most of the time. So I'll set reserve flags, and we're going to go ahead and end this by 32. And shift that by 5. And how many flags do we got? Let's see, we got ACK. I think we got 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Then we got ACK, your acknowledgement. We got PSH, RST, SYN, and what's the other one? FIN. Saying goodbye. All right. So these are pretty much all set up in a similar kind of way, but we're going to end this by 16842. And this last one is going to be ended by 1. And by the way, like I said, this is all going to be on my GitHub page, so I'm sure you guys don't want to sit in wondering exactly what I'm typing, but there you go. So this is how you get all of your flags, and this is how you get the offset value. So now what we can do is just go ahead and return everything. So we're just going to return all of these. So the source port, the destination port, those were good already. The sequence, acknowledgement, and now we can go ahead and return our flags as well. So flag, and all right, there you go. Now again, the last thing that you're going to want to return is the actual data. So this is your TCP header, and the actual data, which is going to be the HTTP request most likely. Where is that? Well, we need to take your offset, which we already figured out, and just return everything after that. So it begins at your offset and then return all the rest. So there you go. And why is my cursor messing up? All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you unpack an ICMP packet and also a TCP segment. And I'll also do the UDP one. You guys don't have to watch me do it. I'll just do it and show you guys in the next video, save you guys some time. But yeah, thanks for watching.